Hi, my name is Vicky Ramsey, and while I am a lot of things, I am, for the purpose of this video, an extremely concerned citizen of planet Earth. In the 1860s, physicist John Tyndall recognized the fact of Earth's natural greenhouse effect and suggested that slight changes in the composition of Earth's atmosphere could bring about climatic variations. Despite the scientific evidence that has since been mounting to support Tyndall's claim of over 160 years ago, climate deniers have made it their business to cast aspersions as to the validity of the notion that human activities, with regards to pollution, are acting as a significant driver to the increases in global warming that our planet is observed to be experiencing. And here we are in the 21st century, just about to enter into the year 2022, and at this late stage of the proceedings, there is now no question of any doubt as to the fact that human activity is causing greenhouse effect, and that the future habitability of our planet Earth is under severe threat as a result of climate change. Where, in recent years, the increasingly apparent trend to extreme weather events has become a matter of utmost concern for the majority of the world's population. Although protesting as a means of highlighting the dangers of ecological pollution had already been occurring pre-1960s, it was a book published in 1962 called Silent Spring by Rachel Carson that is acclaimed as the catalyst for the modern environmental movement that eventually resulted in some laws being introduced to protect the planet in the late 1960s. The year 1970 saw a campaign led by a senator from Wisconsin named Gaylord Nelson that brought 20 million people together over some 10,000 locations on April 22nd for a protest now known as Earth Day that had politicians in the United States jumping over themselves to implement pro-environment legislation. Unfortunately, the advent of war and other issues forced these environmental concerns onto the political back burner, and protesters around the globe have ever since been campaigning within their various countries for more significant legislation to protect our planet, culminating in the modern-day global school strike movement headed by Greta Thunberg, where, as the world burns, melts and floods around us, we now bear witness to our politicians expounding upon the need for greater investments into greener technologies as being the route to saving planet Earth, our only home, from this disaster that's playing out in real time before our eyes. These politicians place themselves in front of microphones and cameras with their agendas, their message loud and clear, telling us that we must trust the science, whilst in the same breath they then procrastinate over imposing the necessary restrictions on fossil fuel industries that are the proven cause and effect mechanics of our predicament. Where I find that I am asking myself the question, what exactly is meant by this slogan, trust the science? It's not as if we don't have greener alternatives to the fossil fuel industry that are indeed already trusted science. But be that as it may, for me, this politicizing of the slogan, trust the science, does beg the deeper question as to if our scientists, engineers and physicists are actually being utilized to the full capacity of their overwhelmingly considerable intellect. Impressive inroads have been gained into the pursuit of physical knowledge concerning our universe over the millennia, and this did occur at a particularly escalated pace during the 20th century. But while there has been incredible progress in the field of electronics via the shut up and calculate attitude of advancing the technologies of quantum mechanics, there has not been any significant breakthroughs in the field of theoretical physics for over 40 years. So perhaps you are now wondering what my point is. Why am I placing theoretical physics and climate change within the same context? Okay, so at the most recent climate change summit, COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland, politicians were making much of how new technological advances will save our planet. Some of the technologies proposed are carbon capture, feeding cows seaweed, climate repair, remote working, delicious insects, greater use of data centers, household energy efficiency. And these solutions are all well and good. However, there does exist the potential for vastly further-reaching technologies that could prove crucial as keystones for alleviating the climate crisis. But before I continue, I feel that I must now provide some vital information in order to justify what I'm going to say next. In 2019, the US Navy Secretary intervened regarding a US Patent Office decision concerning patent applications that the US Navy sought to secure, based upon their employee, Dr. Salvatore Cesar Piazzi's work, that were refused by the Patent Office under the banner of being in contravention of the known laws of physics. I will post a link to these patents and related news articles in the video notes. At the bequest of the US Navy Secretary, the ruling to refuse these patent applications was overturned, and the Patent Office granted the US Navy these patents, one of which claims to be an energy-producing machine that operates outside of the known laws of physics. Now, to say so, there has been a long history of engineers across the globe making application to their country's patent offices with prototypes for energy-producing machines that operate outside of the known laws of physics. And despite the fact that some of these prototypes have been presented as operational, these inventors have been refused patents for their prototypes on the basis that their inventions are contravening the known laws of physics. I will also post some links to some of these examples in the video notes. So, as one might imagine, this phenomenon has resulted in engineers, if they want to be successful engineers that is, steering clear of working on ideas and technologies that will be in conflict with the known laws of physics. However, it is common knowledge that our two most successful physical theories, general relativity and quantum mechanics, do not play nice together. Within the current paradigm, we are no closer to understanding the uncertainty principle of quantum mechanics than we were post-1927 after Heisenberg published his paper on it. Nor has anyone progressed the differential equations of Navier-Stokes to the point of properly defining turbulence, where extreme weather events and turbulence are intrinsically linked. Furthermore, in that 96% of the universe defies explanation via our currently held best theories, clearly our knowledge concerning the physics of the universe is woefully incomplete. So, never mind the idea that there should not be one rule for the US Navy and another for everyone else. There is actually quite simply no logical reasoning to justify the fact of the world's patent offices refusing patents for anybody's prototypes on the basis that they break the known laws of physics. And the fact that physicists can then be, and indeed have been, compelled as experts to refer the known laws of physics as a means by which to deny patents to innovatively inclined engineers is really nothing short of ludicrous. What should be occurring when prototypes are contradicting the known laws of physics is that physicists are then extensively funded to investigate as to why such contravention is occurring. Where perhaps the answer as to why physicists are not funded to investigate technologies that produce energy outside of the known laws of physics can be found by examining the institutions that have been the major funders of physics and noting the nature of their historical business investments. The politicians tell us to trust the science, and yet the full potential of the world's finest minds are, in effect, firewalled behind the project preferences of the investors funding their research. Where, in similar fashion to the engineers, physicists, or physicists who wish to have their projects funded, that is, do not and indeed cannot work on projects researching ideas that fall outside of the paradigms that are popularized by the funding body's project preferences. But yeah, hello, we have a climate emergency to contend with here. It is beyond the pale sheer lunacy that our intellectual elite, the very finest of minds in this world are being squandered away in producing papers researching more or less the same old, and being expected to devote their precious time to mundane administrative tasks, or even, in consideration of this climate emergency, having to undertake the responsibility for the education of students. Clearly, if we, the human race, are to have any chance of averting this impending disaster, undoubtedly these minds should be freed up from these constraints. Our intellectual elites need to be placed into a worldwide, modern-day Manhattan Project, be provided access to unlimited funding, and outfitted with every available resource. In that we could endeavour to send astronauts to the moon on a spaceship in 1969, to fail to create a physics project in the 2020s here on Earth for a mission to avert our planet where we live from an impending climate disaster, would in fact constitute as a complete and total embarrassment to the notion of humankind being a superior and intelligent species. Not to mention being a complete and total breakdown of the responsibility we owe to our children upon whom the future of humankind depends. So yes, let's please let 2022 be the year where we can actualize this slogan, trust the science, and utilize the physicists of our world in a manner befitting the severity of our planet's predicament.